All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Soul Aligned Living. I am Dr. Toya Davis, and I'm so excited about tonight because we have a guest. And the last time we had guests, you all absolutely loved all of the people. I am still getting messages about how the conversation and the information and the tips that you all got have resonated. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can check out our No More Toxic Spirituality series. It was an amazing 3 episodes. So check those out. Great conversations, no matter kind of where you are in your spiritual path and spiritual journey. We have something for everyone. All right. But tonight's guest is someone named Sonja Marie. Well, her name is Sonja Marie of Word Life Astrology, and I will bring her on shortly to talk with us. But before we do that, just a few things because I always forget, y'all. So, like, subscribe, and share. Also, I will be watching the comments tonight, so feel free to drop things in the comments. And next week, Wednesday, I am hosting a live activation series. So I'm doing this monthly, fourth Wednesday of each month, where we do a live activation series, and it's completely free. You just have to register. This month, we are actually doing the same theme, which is rapid transformation. I'm sorry, shifting timelines for rapid transformation. It will be the same theme this month, but if you know me, things are different every single time I talk about it or teach it. So join me again. And with that, I am so excited to welcome to the stage Sonja Marie of Word Life Astrology.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing amazing. Thank you so much for agreeing to join me and take up space here tonight and to lend your voice to the conversation. Before we kind of dive in, why don't you tell the people a little bit about kind of who you are and what you do?
Well, it's a lot what I do and who I am. As Sonja Marie, 55 years young, I am from Yonkers, New York, and I'm an artist. Primarily, I'm an artist of all ways and all kinds, especially the healing arts. So that's where astrology comes into play. But I'm also a poet. I'm also an actress. I'm also a musician of sorts and a vocalist, a writer, a novelist, and all the things. The healing arts came into play with astrology, Western astrology being a hobby of mine when I was younger. And in conjunction with that, I'm able to see spirits and see people's ancestors and guides. So I apply the two in my private readings. I apply the two when I do my retreats and workshops and things. And I'm just here to serve. I'm here to do what God tells me to do. That's the real description of my occupation.
And no better occupation there is, right, than to be in alignment and to follow directions. I actually met Sonja on when I was doing my soul wellness retreat in Costa Rica back in, I think it was 2023,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Hmm.
And she was hosting a group in a retreat in the same location. And, here we are in this non-Black place, and you see these extra Black people.
You like looking across the pool. How you doing? Look.
Right. Um, and if y'all don't know, people say that they don't know that I'm an introvert. So every time I say a show and I do something, I say I'm an introvert. I always get people be like, I didn't know you were an introvert. So I am an absolute introvert, y'all. And so Sonja was the one who actually was like, hey sis, I think I'm supposed to talk to you. And I'm so glad that she did, because since then I've myself used her astrology services. And what I love is, as she mentions, bringing kind of this idea of astrology together with the ancestors, right? Not trying to make them these separate ideas and these separate concepts, but really bringing them together. So just in general, how did you mentioned astrology started out for you kind of as a hobby, but how did it really, how did you even get into it to begin with?
Well, to begin with, as the hobby was with my mom. My mom and I used to, you remember those little star scrolls vending machines back in the 70s and 80s, right? You do? Oh, good. Sometimes I mention it and the youngsters are like, what? What's that? Right. We used to pop in a quarter or 50 cents, and we used to get a literal scroll for each sign, and that depicted what, the predictions were going to be that month or whatever. That's when it began as a hobby. My mother was really into it, and she was so open minded and allowed me to kind of like, play around with different modalities and connect with different people. I would really, really appreciate her for that. And then it turned into a study. Like after going to college, I ended up with a guy whose mom was a full-fledged astrologer, and she mentored me on the side. Mama Nita, I affectionately call her, and I really started studying it. I really started getting into what it meant to me. And even though it started as a hobby and it was about entertainment, when I started studying it, I was like, this is more than entertainment. This is more than just, am I going to find my man? Am I going to find my woman this month? Or am I going to be rich in this lifetime? It was deeper. It started to like unravel all of these things about me, because I was my best study in that moment, right? To all these things about me, where I was like, well, hold on, I do feel that way. And I do think that way. And I'm going this way. That makes sense. It all not only resonated, it was just boop, 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 boop. The dots was just connecting.
Mhm.
So then out of necessity, I got a divorce. And I started realizing, okay, a chick need to make some money, and and I have this ability, which I've always had, to see ancestors.
Mhm.
It was kind of shut down for years and decades until I combined it with astrology and said, actually, I can do readings like this. And then it started to turn into something bigger. And honestly, Latoya, the more I did it, the more I believed. The
Mhm.
more I believed, the better the readings got. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I grew alongside of it, is the point. And yeah.
Yes. I think that so a few very important things here that I just want to bring to the front. That last statement, that the more you did it, the more you believe, right? The better you got in it. So often I get people, the questions are like, well, how do I get good? Or like, I'm not as good as you, or like you. I'm like, I've been doing this for so long. Like, you can't use me as the marker for success, right? Use yourself. And I promise you, it's a muscle. All of it is a muscle. Developing intuition is a muscle. Developing your ability to hear, all of it is a muscle. And the more you do it, the stronger it gets. But if we
Absolutely.
never step out of the fear and actually do it, then it never gets stronger.
And I have to say, and I hope I'm not jumping the gun on this, but you and I have one up on a lot of people. We have a lot of Leo in us, and Leo energy and fire sign energy. Although I am a Cancer sun sign, I have a lot of Leo around me, and that is a very courageous energy. Unlike a lot of people, I mean, a lot of people don't have that. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't have that. Just jump in and get wet. Just see how it flows. A lot of people want to count it. A lot of people want to, make sure that it goes right and be organized. And sometimes that works. Sometimes that's necessary for certain steps and certain projects. But oftentimes it is about closing your eyes and jumping and just going with it and trusting yourself. And that's what I had to do. I just had to trust myself and trust the voice that I kept hearing, like, this is right. That's his
Mhm.
grandfather. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. I'm
Mhm.
just gonna say it. And if it's crazy, then they'll tell me it's crazy. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Yes, yes. And so tonight's conversation, because I did not start with this. So tonight's conversation, everybody, and hey, to all the people in the comments, good to see you. Feel free to let me know that y'all are here. Um, is about how we use astrology past this predictive, like, am I gonna find my man, that type of thing. I think that a lot of times we minimize, or we don't use the tools that we have to their fullest capacity.
Mhm.
And my goal, the work that I do is about helping empower people, particularly women, but men are there too, right? But helping empower women to step fully into their life. And I think that sometimes if we just be like, look, here's the tool, sis, go try this, go work on this. And you don't even need to pay $1,000, right, to make this happen. There's so much information, as long as you are aware that you can use it like that. So when I first reached out to Sonja, I was like, yeah, I'm really interested in doing this talk around, at the time I was saying astrology for liberation, but I realized the algorithm might not really like the word liberation. So we played around and I got to freedom, right? So using astrology to unlock personal freedom. And you mentioned that you're having a special that you are running for your sessions. But ironically, this special is around helping people identify kind of patterns and loopholes and things like that that it relates to their family. So tell me a little bit, like, one, how are you using astrology to help people navigate familial patterns and things like that? And then tell us about your special.
Well, generally speaking, what I was alluding to is the fact that astrology, that modality, is a tool for you to just dive further into who you are and why you chose this life that you chose. Good, bad, and indifferent, challenging, prosperous, and everything in between. I mean, we're given with this personality, not necessarily our soul. I want to make that really, really clear. Our soul is our core. Our soul is the one that never dies and is on the mission. But every time we come to the planet or to another planet, that might be true. Every time we land somewhere, we get a coat, we get a personality in order to administer our soul's journey. And oftentimes we have to look at our soul, our personality, and dissect it to see the things that are helping us and to see the things that are not helping us so much. So with this special, I decided to get into people's face again and always again. Sonja Marie is always in somebody's face, and really put the responsibility on you in regards to your familial dynamics, because oftentimes a lot of people don't like the parents that they have or the children that they have. But do we know that we choose our children? Do we know that we choose our parents? Do we know that we choose, the family that we have to learn the lessons that we need to learn in this particular lifetime? I mean, in my opinion, that's very true. So astrology, by dissecting your personality through astrology, you're able to see those lessons. You're able to see specifically within your fourth house what your energy is on your fourth house and how you are in a family dynamic. So if you have Sagittarius on your fourth house, you're going to be really, really forthcoming, really truthful, and kind of in people's face about things. However, that energy, even though it seems appealing to you, can be a little curt to other people. So let's dissect that. Like you coming into the house and you want to tell everybody their truth, and from your perspective, your truth or whatever, and you think is their truth, but from your perspective, you're doing them a good deed. From your perspective, I just came from college. I just got this new job. Just got this new information, and I want to share with you. But hey, pause. Not everybody is ready for that. So here starts this familial dynamic, so to speak, around holiday time for sure, because people, are a little nervous about coming together. You didn't have to see them all year, or you saw them sporadically all year. Now you got to spend all day with them. You got to spend all week with them. So again, this special it's a 45-minute special for $111. And we break down your particular chart and how you are stepping into the room, how you are stepping to your family, and how you can tweak your personality so you'll know what you're responsible for. We're not responsible for everybody else's reactions, and what they come with, but we can absolutely check ourselves.
Yes, and I just dropped her website in the banner there. So if you wanted to check that out, wordlifeastrology.com. What I find interesting is, so you talked about, I love that you made the distinction between kind of the soul self and what we're looking at here. I often tell people that, one, it's important to understand the perspective that a system is coming from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not all systems, although information overlaps, like if I go and get an astrology reading and it is completely different than what I got in the Akashic record reading or in the numerology, like something is wrong, right? Because we're all pulling from this kind of universal consciousness, and the choices that you made as a soul are still tied to, like, okay, I chose to be born on this date because of the energies associated with this number, right? I chose to be born on this location because the planets aligned and all of that stuff, right? But it is important to understand the perspective that particular system comes from. So when you come to me for an Akashic record reading, I am absolutely looking at the soul self, right? I am looking at you as, yes, embodied in this moment, but also all of the other embodiments and incarnations that you had, including the other planets, right?
Right.
and how and why that led you to make the choices that you made. And then you go to astrology and it's like, okay, you made those choices before you got here. Now let's talk about how we can navigate space, space through that. So you mentioned the fourth house.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Sagittarius, but I don't want to make the assumption that everyone is kind of familiar with the various houses, and people be like the Chiron and the this and the that. So if you can give us like a beginner's quick kind of overview.
Well, it's really difficult to do so. I was just using that as an example to
Okay.
pique
Okay.
people's interest, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But if I had to be real bare bones about it, I think most of us know the three big obvious, I call it, or the three important parts of our personality. And that's the sun, the moon, and the rising. Because the sun is us, naked, vulnerable. That's the core us. That's the core part of our personality. It's also our ego. And like I said, it's us very, very relaxed, knowing who we are from the center and naked. But as we appear to the world, when we step outside our home, when we become we're defending ourselves, when we become fearful, we put on our rising sign. That's us with clothes on. That's a whole new vibration. That's a whole new vapor that's kind of coming off of the body that's protecting the soul. I mean, the sun and the soul for that matter, but it's protecting the sun, right? The third part is the moon, which is the emotional knee-jerk reaction, the expression that comes off like right off the cuff, from you getting cut off in traffic, from your dad calling you an a-hole, from your sister stepping on your toe, from somebody throwing spaghetti in the back of your neck. You're going to react like your moon sign. And if they're all in three different vibrations, three different energies, three different signs, you can come off at any given time in three different ways. Does that
Mm.
make sense?
Oh wow.
So for us to know that and for us to check ourselves in that is like one up on the game. I'm gonna give you an example. People who have the moon in Aries, the moon is emotions again, knee-jerk reaction. Aries is fire. Aries wants to fight. Aries is the baby of the zodiac, which always pops off first. As that's just their magic, and that's what they're here to do. They're risk takers. So if you're responding like an Aries in your moon, sometimes you can't hold your tongue. Sometimes you walk into a room and somebody says something crazy to you, you ready to put your dukes up. But if you know this about yourself, maybe you can sit back and pause for like 3 seconds and go, are they having a bad day? Is it me? Am I having a bad day? Before my Aries moon pops off and really wants to swing on somebody, let me take 3 breaths. Let me take 5 breaths. And then I'll ask them, can you please tell me what that means, what you just said? I mean, honestly, taking a breath and managing your personality, managing how you administer your soul's journey could actually take away a lot of mishaps. It could really it can pull you back from a lot of, in quotes, unnecessary mistakes and detours,
Mhm.
and including 25 to life. No, I'm just joking.
But and real.
But
So is there, and one, I love that. I didn't know like the moon was that pop off energy. So
yeah, yeah. It's
we just
also, by the way, and this is what we can get into in my special too. It's also how we view our moms. When you slide through your mother's womb at a particular time, date, and place of birth, and I would need those things in order to do your natal chart and your reading for my special, or for any reading that I do, astrological reading. The moon depicts not only your emotional reaction, not only karmic energy that you're trying to clean up this time around, but it's also your perspective of your mother when you slip through her womb. Now, she can be a totally different sign. Staying with that moon in Aries, that moon in Aries person can have a Taurus mother, but how you look at her is a fighter because of that moon in Aries. As you look at her, the perspective of her is like, yes, she's really childish. So this is something to dissect too, because this means that you have a particular spin on how you see your mother. You're not really seeing her. You're seeing her through your emotional body, which can sometimes be a little unfair to your mom.
Mhm. So in a session, let's say that information comes up. How does someone then say, okay, let me reflect on this relationship I had with my mom. It was a little cantankerous or whatever this is, right? Are there do we also find the solution in astrology, or is that incumbent on the person to kind of figure out how they manage that solution?
Well, the solutions, to be quite honest with you, is a total picture. The solution comes when you and the other person can come together and figure it out and come to some kind of understanding. But again, like we said about 10 minutes ago, we're not responsible for other people. You can only be responsible for yourself. And if you know from a pure place that I'm managing my anger with this Aries moon, I'm doing my best to step back and count to 10, then that's all that you can ask of you. And to
Mhm.
be truthful with you, in my opinion, that's all we can ask of ourselves. Like, really, like, how are we navigating this thing? Because other people, and your family, they have their own walk. We don't have to take it though. Meaning, we don't have to create a burden about it. We don't have to get our feelings hurt. We don't have to respond. We don't have to take on their heavy. We don't have to take on their conditioning. That's a choice.
Mhm.
And although it's practice, because a lot of us need to practice that, right? It's
Mhm.
still a choice, sometimes conscious, sometimes subconscious. But we have to start doing that because people have their own walk, which is not our business.
Yes. And I think going back to like agency, right? So I'm team, we are all co-creating our reality at every given moment, right? And sometimes I find that people, and this drives me crazy, but people will be like, well, I'm a Leo. Well, we all know that. I'm a Leo, and so that's just the way I am. But still the actions that you choose to do, like just like I could boldly say I'm a Leo and this is what I choose to do, I could also boldly choose to take a moment, like you just said, right? And reflect on what that means in that moment. But past that, going back to kind of this soul level view, you have to ask yourself, okay, why did I actually incarnate at this time on these days through these parents? Like, what positive aspects, or like, how am I supposed to bring these things together to actually help me move forward? Right? It ain't for me to pop off at my mama, right?
Absolutely.
There's
Absolutely.
something in this thing that's really supposed to help propel me to the highest and best version of my life. And I
Yes.
think that that's what we don't look at. Go ahead.
And not only that, we're progressing.
Mhm.
We come in, our natal chart, which is based again on the time, date, and place you were birthed, is a snapshot of the heavens. And as soon as you slip through your mother's womb, that's the initial imprint of your personality. However, that natal chart progresses as we mature, as we evolve. We supposedly, in quotes, become better. You know what I mean? So we come here to get better in our personality, not just sit in, oh, I'm just a Leo and I'm a pop off. I'm an Aries. I'm a fight. I'm a Cancer and I'm just going to cry and I'm just going to manipulate people. I'm this and I'm that. No, 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 no. That's a choice. If you choose to do that, okay, but you're also choosing not to evolve, and you're choosing not to highlight and or take advantage of the greatest things that spirit has for you. Bottom
Mhm.
line, point blank, you just going to stay right here. And if you just want to stay right here, okay, but you're going to stay right here over there, because not a lot of people are going to mess with you. Those that want to evolve anyway. You might have a group that wants to stay mediocre, but again, it's all a choice. So don't point fingers.
Mhm.
Don't get
Mhm.
mad.
Mhm. Mhm.
When you
Mhm.
choose to stay in your stuff.
Yes. And that's how people, as I like to say, people phase out of your life, right? It's when somebody is making the choice to kind of be here and the other person is rising. It's like we can both rise together, right? But we both have to be making choices that are saying, I'm not okay with kind of staying here and being mediocre. Funny, I tell my kids all the time, we didn't come here to be mediocre.
No,
Uh,
not at all. But and in their defense and in our defense too, like we take our time with it. Some years are harder to evolve than other years. You
yes.
know what I mean? I mean, that's just facts right there. Like, and we have to be easy on ourselves to know that some years is easier and some years are harder. And if people need to leave us, if we need to leave people, again, it's not personal. It's not personal. But my readings, and in particular this familial read, is about, again, owning your own stuff and seeing where you are in
Mhm.
this season and how you can approach your family. Maybe it's the year for you to observe and just to sit back and
Mhm.
just watch everybody, and don't
Mhm.
tell everybody about the new vegan diet that you have. So nobody care. And not only that, maybe you just, you need to be the example as opposed to being the mouthpiece.
Mhm,
And then
mhm,
there's some years where family be like, Latoya, you've been doing what, girl? Tell me about that.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
It's
mhm.
invited. Then you can start to talk. There,
Yes. Do you think so in our charts, do we also, because you mentioned like some years are hard, some years are like easy. Is there like and if you look at this thing, that can kind of give you an idea on what this year or the energy of this year. And I don't do astrology, so my terminology ain't the best.
it's all good. I got you. Absolutely. There are several different types of charts that you can literally run doing a reading. I don't do it like that because I could have your natal chart, your solar return chart, your Mars return, your moon return. You can literally have 10 charts laid out. And as a scientist, you're like spinning the bowls, trying to figure out what's what.
Mhm,
But to answer the question, the solar return chart is that chart. The natal chart is you, I like to say, as ice cream, right? But the solar return chart is you as ice cream as a different flavor every year. Why? Because the sun literally returns back to the same positioning. That's degrees and minutes and sign of in that particular solar chart. All the other planets in that chart change except for that sun. It goes right back. If I'm
mhm,
14 degrees Cancer, next year, 2026, where is 14 degrees Cancer going to land? And all the other planets will be in different positions and the chart will change every year. So some years I feel like I'm outspoken. I want to be out there. I want to, hit the club or,
mhm,
be
mhm,
out in the street. And then some years, depending on where that sun lands, I'm gonna give you an example in the 12th house, I could be introverted and you won't see me, you won't hear from me. So every year, yes, there is a particular vibration, and I think it's dynamic in the sense that spirit, the universe, all the energies that is in control helps us to take breaks. You know what I mean? Because imagine if you're on one every single year. Imagine if you're hardworking every single year for 20 years straight. I mean, there are moments where you have to pull back and recalibrate. And in
mhm.
that solar return chart, you see how to do that.
I love that. I'm gonna go and look at my solar return chart and I don't know. See the years that I was hyper productive. I think that will help me give myself grace.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
do. I think that'll help me like one, I am a recovering I always feeling the need that I'm recovering from feeling guilty during inaction. Right.
Mm,
I was raised in a space and environment where like to not be active
right.
was seen as a bad thing. So like for me to sit down and watch TV and do all of that stuff, we weren't doing it. And so I grind and grind and grind and grind. So I think, well, not I think. Now I'm at a place where I'm like, wait, my body is like, nah, we need a moment, sis.
Yeah.
Let's lay here for a day. But it took me a minute to get here. But now I'm gonna add on the solar chart
Yeah.
and help plan my years.
Yes. Um, it helps me a lot just to piggyback on that because I believe, honestly, that not only do our bodies need to rest, but we also need to gain inspiration. And sometimes the only way to get inspiration is to pull back and fill up.
Mhm,
If you're
mhm,
moving and grooving and doing too much, messages and ideas, inspiration is just flying by. It's like chasing you. But
mhm.
sometimes we have to sit back and be seemingly lazy or be absorbent, as I like to say, and
Mhm.
allow the. And here comes this song. Boom. Oh, okay. Here comes this business idea. Boom. And you wouldn't get that again if you're running around the block going to the store 5 times a day.
I just read this book. Y'all know I don't remember the title of the book, but it was about Reverend Ike. It was about the life of Reverend Ike.
Okay.
I love Reverend Ike. But in the book, it talks about like how he would just disappear for these long periods of time, and he would be by himself. But it basically talks about like how he needed that, like because he gave so much. Right when he was in it, he was 1,000% in it, and then when he couldn't like start to hear the messages or like kind of lose that, he would just go and leave and be retreating. And that's they said that like that's where he would come up with like all of his sermons and all of
Yes.
the next things and all of the stuff. So that like, yes.
Yes, absolutely. And it could be years, it could be 5 minutes. The
Mhm,
intervals don't matter. Just pull back, just a touch.
mhm, mhm.
You know what I mean? To get what you can get. Yeah.
Yes. So when you mentioned retreats, or well, you mentioned, and I also said that I met you on the retreat. So typically, what are your retreats like? What are you doing? Are you teaching astrology? Are y'all?
Yes, we have a couple of different workshops. Well, this year we're doing our eighth annual retreat. I took a break last year to fill up and to kind of recalibrate, see what I want, if I wanted to do another one or not. And this year we're going to Sequoia National Forest. I can't wait. At
Mm,
this place called Auto Camp, where everybody has their own Airstream. I don't know if you know what Airstreams are. They're like they're like the aluminum trailers, right?
yeah.
It comes equipped with your own bedroom, the TV, the little common area, a little kitchenette, and the bathroom is so crazy cool. And because I got that Leo in me, I'm kind of bougie. So it's clean, it's nice and white and pristine. I'm very bougie. I'm not gonna lie. So it's like glamping to the max, right? And these sequoia trees are like over 300, 400 feet high. They're
Mhm.
incredible. So we will do, we'll do a nice little excursion. We're going to do a whitewater rafting, maybe go to this planetarium because where Sequoia is not a lot to do. Um, we're also going to do maybe one or two workshops, astrology workshops, and I'm inviting my band up this year, and I'm gonna perform for people that are coming up. So it's gonna be a nice little festive situation. I look forward to it. I really, really look forward to it. It's from May 28th to June 1st, and I have a couple of spots in case anybody wants to sign up. It's on my
Is
website.
it on your website also?
Yes, yes, in the
Okay.
retreat section.
Okay. So yeah, y'all go ahead and check that out. The people that she traveled, I actually, so in addition to meeting her, I also met some really cool people that was a part of her group. And I tend to believe we attract the same types of people,
Yes.
right? So if you are listening to me from me, then she is probably also someone that you would be interested in her vibe. So I'm going to switch to talking about kind of the ancestor part.
Okay.
Um, and well, how old were you? You know, you said you've always kind of known that you've received this, but like, do you know when it started?
I know I was very young because my running story is you get a whole bunch of women in the projects apartment or in the kitchen and everybody's talking about somebody's ex and blah 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 blah. And I would just blurt out, I thought Mr. Johnson was with Sylvia on the second floor. Why? There goes somebody's hand slapping me. What are you talking about? And it's because I saw it as opposed to seen
Mm,
it.
mhm,
I
mhm,
felt it happening, and they found out that it was true days or hours later or whatever. And I started realizing, like, wow, this is something. But it kept getting shut down. You know what I mean? Yonkers, New York, it's not very popular to kind of foresee things, and especially from a little girl that really supposed to keep her mouth shut and just do what you're being told to do, so to speak. So I shut it down for a long time, Latoya, and then I used dudes and drugs to help do that as well, and just got distracted until God was like, I need you. Like, I want you to do this thing for me. I'm not gonna stop showing you and
mhm,
what I need you to do and to assist people. And the longer story is that at first they used to come up solid, like literally in my face, and I couldn't take that. It drove me crazy half the time, to be honest with you. So my mentor was like, you can negotiate and ask them to, if you want me to do this work, you have to come up in a totally different way. And that's when it shifted. I stopped seeing them solid to prevent me from crashing in a tree or something. And
mhm,
now I just see them like as an image in my mind.
mhm,
As you're looking at me, you can see your kitchen, or you can see your daughter's bedroom or something like that in your head. I could just see the image of people, which is a lot safer, a lot more manageable. And I can smell, everybody is different though.
mhm, mhm. I love that you brought up the negotiation part. I remember I had a reading once with somebody, and after the fact, it was like you were just talking to them like they were, because they were doing, like they were showing me something or telling me something. I can't remember, but I was like, yeah, I don't like how you're doing that. Like, I need you to show this to me in a different way. And so after the call, she was like, I don't believe you just did that. And I was like, yeah, like the point of communication is to communicate, right?
Exactly.
And if the entity is giving you information in a way that you can't receive it, then you are of no good to them. So
Absolutely.
they want for there to be communication. And the
And
only way that can happen is one, you have to use your words,
yes.
right? And say, this works for me. This does not work for me. Let's
Yep.
find the happy medium.
Yeah. And they don't have ego and feelings like we do as humans. They're not sitting over there going, what? She asked me to do what? No. They're complying, like you said, because they need to get the message through. And however that works is how it works. Like for me, oftentimes, again, like I said, I'll see them as an image. I can smell, but it also comes through poetry, like just
Mhm.
symbols, because I'm a poet. So they
Mhm.
know that they have to get me from an artistic level in order for me to kind of dissect what's being shown, you
Mhm.
know. So everybody is different because of who you are. They
Right.
just want to get the message through.
Yes. Is there something in the chart that talks about like these gifts, right? Like you've had this since you were a child. Is there something that makes you predisposed to that you see in the charts or
Oh,
in general?
yeah, there's several things. I mean, to be truthful with you, is a myriad of things. The things that come off the one thing that comes off the top of my head right now is any aspects or any strong Neptune placements. Neptune is the planet of the ethereal. Neptune is Pisces' planet. It's the ruler of Pisces. Pisces being that last sign is very wise, very ethereal, very spiritual, very knowing, right? And that Pisces energy literally pierces through the veil. That Neptune also harbors spirituality, like I said, music, art, escapisms, confusion. You know, it literally is the veil in astrology. So whatever affects that in what however that is affected in your chart, you can see also. This is very important too. Like I said, it's a myriad of them, but they just told me to say this in case somebody out there has it. The moon in Pisces. Moon in Pisces people, because the moon is emotional, because the moon is karmic and is connected to our not only spiritual way of being, but our emotional tie, right? And Pisces being in quote psychic, so to speak, right? If you have moon in Pisces, you probably been seeing spirits since you was a baby, and it's hard to shut it down, you
Mhm.
know, really, really hard. And oftentimes moon and Pisces people don't want to see it because it usually comes premonitions come up in their dreams, or like I said, they come up when they're a child. Yeah, there's so many things in a person's chart where you can dissect and figure out if you're connected in that way. But here's a real picture, and you know this too, Latoya, to be true. We're all connected.
Yes.
All can read. We
Yes.
all can see. I
Yes.
like to say it like it's just the window that's open. Do you choose to open your window or keep it closed?
Yes.
You know, but the window is there.
Yes. Yes. Literally, again, just last week I think had a conversation with somebody and they were like, "Well, you're gifted." And I was like, "No." I was like, "I don't like when people say that because we all have the
Yep.
same ability to have the same gifts, right? I just choose
Yep.
to use my, and again, because it's a muscle that
Yep.
I've worked and I've developed, it comes off differently, right? And you too,
Yep.
everybody out in YouTube land, right? You too can develop the capacity. And I think what I would like to offer here, what there is oftentimes, again, is that comparison, right? Y'all know the
Mhm.
comparison is the thief of joy, right? One, our gifts are going to look different, or the talent, the skill, the clair, the whatever is going to look different through everyone.
Yep.
When I first kind of came into, when I was young, I didn't understand any of this stuff, right? And I could gain information from touch. So to this day, I really still don't touch people, right? I don't give hugs, I don't do handshakes, I don't do all of that stuff because as a child, the information was so much and I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't have somebody to explain to me what was going on. So I learned to manage it on my own. And the way I learned to manage it was, wait, if I don't touch you, we're good, right? So what
Correct.
happened? Another gift or another thing just popped up. It was like, oh, okay, that didn't work. Let's do it this way. But what I want to offer is that there is a main way right now that you are receiving information. Either you walk into some place and like your stomach knots up, or you feel something, like there is something that happens to you. I want you to think through it. There is something that happens consistently. And that is going to be your easiest form of clear to develop in this moment. Doesn't mean that you don't have the rest of it. Doesn't mean that they can't develop. But as you are trying to figure out, how do I grow in this thing? Let's start with the thing that's already kind of hardwired to be on top,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
be intentional and conscious about developing that particular skill set.
Yep. I agree. I totally agree. I have one for sure.
Mhm.
My shoulders. When I am blocking something from coming inside, my left shoulder knots up. Like if I'm walking into a space where I don't feel comfortable, all of a sudden my left shoulder's like, because I'm trying to keep it out from coming in, because that left side is the receiving side. When when I'm holding something back and I know I need to say something, my right shoulder knots up. And I'm like, Sonja's talk, say something. Like I start moving my shoulder. That's my quick little indication of the energy flow. And it could be my energy per the example or anybody else's energy. I could feel it just getting caught in my body. But I love that you said that. We all do have those indications. We just don't pay attention. We go, oh, I got indigestion, or oh, my neck just hurts from them pillows. It's like, no, your grandmother's sitting on your neck saying, girl, get up.
Yes. And going back to the familial thing, and you talk about how you like, we are not given the confidence. We're taught to squish them, squelch them, squash them. Some version of those three words is the right word. We are taught to not lean into that. And so by the time we get into adulthood, we have dismissed the symbols and stuff for so long that we actually forgot that it was the kind of original indicator, which is why, just the moment of coming back to being intentional and being curious,
Yes.
is important.
We were put on the planet for that. That is our own self-preservation. That's our own natural defenses. Babies have it all the time. And then we force babies to give strangers hugs when they're shy and they're like, nah, I'm cool. I don't like him. Oh, just give Uncle John a hug. No, Uncle John is weird. Like the babies is like, I feel something. We're taught that, but then we're taught, like you said, and conditioned to go against our own natural defenses.
Yes.
Girl, we're gonna get in a whole conversation about that. That frustrates the heck out of me. Just rewiring these conditionings. You understand what I'm saying? And getting back to our natural selves and who we are is a feat. It's a true feat. And some people never, ever, ever, accomplish it, But at the same time, I'm really grateful for you, grateful for myself for that matter, and people out here that are really just speaking it, just encouraging, just to listen to yourself and listen to spirit. Listen to your folks when they wake you up in the middle of the night, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just did this. By the way, if y'all are watching and you watched, what was the name of the video? How to talk to your ancestors. I think that was the name of it. I forgot. But I just did a YouTube live, or did a YouTube video last week, and it got the most amount of, like, I'm at this point almost 12,000 views, right? But it's about,
Oh, nice.
all right. I was like, whoa, okay. But and so I've been reading the comments. What's interesting about it is people basically just being like, it was logical. It made sense, right? I think so often, depending on your background, ancestors are demonized, or ancestors are made to feel like this spooky thing. And so that's another part of the reason why we try to dismiss these hearings and these things and these knowings. And so then, like, someone passes and they're like, oh my gosh, I really want to see Aunt Susie, right? But you've like shut yourself in the box for so long that it becomes difficult to even trust, which
Right.
is what happens. I'm like, they're there. If you want to communicate, they're there. But now you don't trust it. So I think that when you talked about, the ancestor kind of sitting on your neck, that's what brought that up for me.
Yeah.
What are some, I guess you would say, do you have any tips, or do you have any suggestions, or any conversation kind of around people who want to communicate with their ancestors or be able to receive information from their ancestors?
I think the simplest thing is to ask a question and wait for the answer. And even though it may sound like, well, that's what I do, I ask them all day because people can come back with that. But are you really listening though? I'd really like to challenge you with. And sometimes you can, I know this is going to sound really manipulative on some level, but sometimes you can ask them to come in a particular way. Meaning, can you come with, in a bird today? Can you come through a song today? And if it's not today, can you come within the next couple of weeks? Now, the reason why I'm saying it like this is because this is like the way in which I believe we can strengthen our communication with them. Because if we see it, then and we believe it, it opens the door even for more to happen.
Yes.
And then when more happens, then it opens the door even further. Where after all this practice, now you're just walking around talking to them because that's what they want you to do.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's where they want us to come to. The Toya, they're not gone. And I'm saying this especially around this time because some reason they like to leave around the holidays. It's just
Hmm.
really interesting how they exit around this time. And there's a lot of people that are leaving now, and more will, right? But they're not gone, y'all. And the older I get, the more I realized how present they are, you know, and how lucky I was and blessed to have met them. Not lucky, blessed to have met them and connected with them in this lifetime, and then to have this continuous relationship with them, even on the other side. We obtain all of these angels now. We obtain all of these beautiful souls that are walking, and as soon as you call their name, they're like, hey, they are right there helping you cross the street, helping you to get that extra dollar. But we have to listen. And we often have to, again, my job as an astrologer is to help you kind of push through that personality. Because sometimes, again, our personality can be a huge wall between what spirit wants and what our soul needs, because we're blocking it with arrogance of an Aquarius. We're blocking it with too much emotions of a water sign. We're blocking it with, too much stubbornness of a Taurus or a Leo, right? We're blocking it with different parts of our personality where we'll say, we'll never seen it. That's just because you're not allowing it, you know? If you help to control and tweak your personality and open up a little bit and forgive yourself as you do it, you'll be able to hear it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This season, the high. I literally we've been having this conversation. So I mentioned before we got on the call, like I have a funeral. I have a funeral on Friday and a funeral on Saturday, and on Sunday on the phone with somebody, and literally while we're on the phone, someone comes in and is like, "Oh, your aunt died, right?" And then today, so and I always say, like, I don't know why each year during this time frame, I'm surprised, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like I know
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
that between October and December, it's going to be really, really high transitions, and yet when
Yeah.
it starts happening, I get into like a right because it happens so fast.
Yeah, it does.
And I
And
think
we're
we
human, Latoya. We're human.
yeah,
We have emotional bodies that we have to at least give a little respect to, because its job is to drench out the pain and the grief and all the things. So we're human.
yeah. But I love how you offered that perspective of
Mm.
I was you changed it from lucky, fortunate. I can't
Blessed. Yeah.
blessed, blessed, to have had this time with them. And Um, yeah, I must say the last few weeks have been a little bit rough for me. Just also because October, my dad died, not this October, but it brings
And
because we're so it's like that, and then they just started, and I'm like, "Ugh." And because I feel death in a way that a lot of other people, meaning like the energy of death itself, right? And the relation with those who have passed and those who need elevation and those who are kind of stuck in this realm. And because it happens so fast
yeah.
during this time, it's almost like my energy body does something strange, right? And so if I'm not aware of like that's the energy that I'm taking on, I can really kind of get down really fast.
Right.
Um, and it takes me a minute to realize, like, oh wait, this weekend is the thing that said, oh wait, no, this is what's going on. This is the period we're in. This is what's happening. Let's get through this.
Yeah.
But the perspective that you offered was really good. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And again, I'm human too, so I have to remind myself of it as well. Um, But I just stay with the memory of them. I had an uncle that passed yesterday.
Oh, sorry.
Um, he's kind of like an uncle cousin, you know. You don't know where he falls in the tree, so you just call him uncle. Yeah, but they knew he was going for at least the last couple of weeks, and it is sad. It's just like, whoa, okay. But at the same time, again, I just feel like I got a team.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
I know there's a part of me that's sad, but then there's that other part that goes, but nothing's gonna happen to me now. Like nothing's really got. I got a team of people, and I do good work.
mhm, mhm,
I'm a
mhm,
good person. I do good work. I have great intentions. I follow through with those intentions. You know what I mean? I listen. I pray, and I say to myself, as long as I'm doing my part, I know they're gonna do their part, so I'm
mhm,
good.
mhm, mhm.
You know.
Yes. Well, anyone in the chat, if you have, again, see, this is like me and my hosting, right? If you're joining us, make sure you like, subscribe. Sonja also has a channel on YouTube, and she does something called, is it called Monday Rundowns?
Weekly rundown on Mondays,
On
though.
Monday. See, look at I brought those together. And it's great. I hop on. She does it on Instagram and it's on YouTube. I'll actually let her tell you about it, but you should absolutely check it out because the delivery of how she gives the information. I know I just said I'm gonna let you tell you about it, but I'm gonna add this part first. So what I love, I hate information for information's sake. And I know hate is a strong word. I strongly dislike information for information's sake. And what do I mean by that is like
Yeah,
people just give you facts. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Right? Particularly when the language you're speaking isn't my language. So if I am not an astrologer, if I'm not an Akashic Records reader, if I'm not a numerologist, and you just start spitting out the narrative that you read, like what? Like
right.
I've now just lost hours and minutes of my life, and I don't know what to do with that. And so I absolutely love how you fuse like all of the necessary information, but it's like really practical on Monday, on Tuesday, on this day. Do like I love that. So tell the
Thank
people
you.
about about weekly rundown.
Thank you for that, Latoya. Well, what I do is read the transit charts. Now, you have a natal chart, which is your particular personal chart, right? But then you have the transit chart. It's just like it sounds. It's a chart that keeps moving. So it's the universe as a chart day by day by day. And is it predictive? Maybe, if you want to call it that. But what I like to say is that it's all energy, right? And you get to decide what to do with that energy. So I talk about the energy, the transit chart of Monday, of Tuesday, all the way, the whole week or whatever, to prepare us for what the week is about. Right. If the moon is going to be in Cancer for a good couple of days, we might want to watch out about eating because Cancer loves to eat, and the moon is emotional. So we may be doing some emotional eating, and you might find yourself with 2-3 burgers and be like, God dang it, that Sonja did say. And then you can put one down and save me later. I mean, thank me later. Save the other one for later. Anyway, but that's what we do. We talk about the transit chart, and my channel is Sonja Marie's Word Life Astrology. Sonja Marie's Word Life Astrology. And yeah, Latoya, I realized the other day I have over 400 videos on YouTube. That's what I said. Like when you just do something, just keep doing it and don't realize you accumulating
Mm-hmm.
all this content. I'm like, wow. So yeah, we've been talking about this for a while, and that's that. I love it, and I hope to see y'all.
Yes, yes. And her Instagram and her YouTube are in the description. So
Yeah.
you can look at them in the description and check her out. So is there anything as we get ready to kind of close out that we didn't talk about? Oh, I did have this one question that I wanted to ask you. So if you had to, this is kind of a personal philosophy type of question, right? And we may have already covered it, but what if you had to say, if someone said like, what is your philosophy around using astrology to create personal freedom, or what is your beliefs around using astrology to create personal freedom? Kind of how would you encapsulate that, or what would you say?
I think we absolutely touched on that. I think, like I said, astrology to me is our personalities, and our personality can get in the way sometimes of our soul's journey. So we want to be able to know what our personality is about. Here it is. Goodness gracious. Mercury retrograde got me like tripping over my own tongue sometimes. Um, Here is what it is in a nutshell. Um, the sun is the core us. I like to say to a lot of my clients, if the sun dropped out of the sky, we'd all be fucked up. Like for real. Like Mercury will be over here, the earth will blow up and go to the left. Saturn be twisting and going somewhere out of the Milky Way. Like it'll just be chaotic. It's the same way within our personal charts, right? The sun is who we are. We always revert back to who we are. Then we can utilize the different planets and other parts of our chart as like appendages, right? They help to administer the sun, but we always have to revert back to the sun because that's who we came in as. Does that make sense? And
Yes.
if you know that, you're ahead of a lot of people when it comes to understanding astrology, right? A lot of people like to live in their rising. A lot of people like to live in their moon. A lot of people like to live in other parts of their personality, and they get tripped up because they're not giving respect to who they are. They are their sun sign. That's who they came in here to be, to shine as, to
Mhm.
illuminate as, to progress, to be the highest of. And everybody else is the helpers to get to
Mhm.
that point. You did?
I love that. I love the appendages because it made such a very clear, like, visual.
Mm,
I think that's something we can all kind of understand, right? The core of who you are, and then everything else is just kind of there to assist. I love that. Um, so before we go, is there anything that I think we've talked about, the things that you have going on, but is there anything else that you have going on that you want the people to know about?
Well, I definitely want to answer somebody's question. They put it up twice, so I think
Okay.
they definitely want us to pay attention. But as far as an outro, I just want everybody to concentrate and be less fearful on being their higher selves. And sometimes it means that we have to look in the mirror. Sometimes it means that we have to go deep in this Scorpio season with the new moon in Scorpio tomorrow, with Venus being in Scorpio, with Mercury backing up into Scorpio. There's a lot of Scorpio energy in the universe right now. And Scorpio begs we go deep. Scorpio begs that we transform. But when you do that, you have to see yourself. And a lot of times people don't want to see themselves because they get tripped up into shame and blame and guilt and all the other weird emotions that have you backtrack in a corner and dislike yourself and dislike your movements. I say love yourself in seeing that. Love yourself and seeing your mistakes. Love yourself and seeing where you could have done better. Love yourself and seeing how you've grown through certain things, because that's when the light finds you. That's when the better choices find you. If I have to say anything, just do your best to go as deep as you can so you can find who you really, really are. We don't have too much time. It
Mhm.
speeds by so incredibly fast. So just love everything that you discover about yourself and transmute that into the best person you can be.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
I don't want to mess up your name, so I'm not going to oh, is it Mo? It's the question is, how do I hear communication when I do not feel inspired?
Mm, that's a good question. Well, I think my question to you is, how do you slow down to get inspired? Because if you don't hear the communication because you're not inspired, then that means you need to take a step back and become inspired. So what that means is, oftentimes, as we was referring to Neptune, a
Mhm,
part of that is slowing down to hear the music. A part, literally, physically slowing down to hear music, slowing down, listening to the babies play, slowing down and looking outside into the clouds, slowing down and connecting with nature, slowing down and just humming to yourself.
mhm.
Slow down, because inspiration finds you again when we're not hurried, when we're just open to hear, and then that's when they start to talk to you.
Mhm.
They can wake you up in the middle of the night, or they can wake you up at the 11th hour. But do you want them to do that each and every time? By that time, you're in the middle of chaos.
Yes, I love that answer. Um, so I hope that that was helpful. Um, and I'm sure you asked it, but I know I feel like a lot of people needed to hear that. So
Yeah.
thank you for putting that question into the space, so that that could get out and be heard. All right. So just a few things for me. Next week, Wednesday, November 26th, I think is the date. We have the shifting timelines for rapid transformation, free activation. The link is in the description. Um, all of the things, all of the links, all of the stuff is there in the description. I would love it if you like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, remember you deserve to live a life that lights you up from the inside out. Stay aligned, liberated, and abundant. Peace.
Bye.
I can never end the stream on time because I need a mouse. But